Trouble.
It didn't go 3 times. It just went on one.
You ready? You're live.
Welcome to the Tuesday, July 16th, 2013 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight our invocation will be led by Jean Brooks to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
Oh, Father God, thank you so much for the privilege of prayer. You are so awesome, and we come to you tonight to bow our hearts and our mind to your will. Pray for your guidance on the agenda at hand, Lord. You know what's best for us all, so I pray for your direction, your protection, and your correction for all that's here tonight. And for those that serve your community, Lord, we ask you to give them an extra measure of your wisdom in dealing with these issues before us. Thank you in advance, Lord, for answering this prayer and for the one who died for all of us, your Son, Jesus, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
McCabe. Garcia.
Here.
Foley. Here. Carney.
Here. And I forgot to call us to order. We are in order. We're all here and we're ready to go. Okay. The first item of business is to consider the approval of the agenda. Directors, are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, the motion is adopted. Now the second item of business is to consider the approval of the minutes, and we have 2 sets of minutes for the June 18th meeting and the July 2nd meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Either of those? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is adopted. Okay. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I ask that you adhere to the 3-minute limit on your comments, and for your convenience, we will display a clock timer in the monitors. And out of respect to all of us, we ask that you please honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments to be reserved for the board discussion after all speakers have been heard. And we ask that all cell phones be silenced, and please refrain from any disruptions of the meeting. And should you need to leave prior to the conclusion of the meeting, we ask that you do so quietly without talking. And thank you all so very much for being here. We appreciate your interest in the business of our city. And we are glad that you're here. We hope that we can meet everything that needs to be done tonight really fast. We've been here since 4:30 for a work session. At this time, are there any guests to be recognized? Did you have guests? No? Okay. And we will now consider our city manager's report.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and board members and members of the audience. Tomorrow, the Miss Arkansas pageant begins in Hot Springs, and we welcome that annual event to Hot Springs every summer. In August, on August 30th and 31st, there will be an e-waste collection drop-off over here at the Convention Center. And as you know, the disposal of your computer, your terminals, your hard drives, your printers is not allowed in a landfill. And so this is an effort where you can bring it to that location and we will have a contractor dispose of that. And I know that that's always a real popular event that people attend. You'll also start noticing improvements to the city's webpage. And we're starting to see some of the benefits of partnering with Civic Plus and taking our webpage up to a higher level, which will allow us to give you more information in a much easier fashion to navigate. So be paying attention to that. And then finally, this is more of an internal thing, but the city a couple years ago suspended training for budgetary reasons, and we are now reinstituting a lot of in-house training. We have an excellent HR director in this community, Minnie Lennox, and she will start her in-house customer service training beginning tomorrow. One thing that the board emphasized to me when I came here was that we needed to get our staff more focused on customer service training, and I think I'm seeing that we're getting a lot more compliments from our public on the manner in which people are treated and complaints are processed and follow-up and accountability, and we're going to start taking that a step further with periodic training on customer service, which in a service a business like a city is absolutely paramount. So anyway, that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I overlooked, didn't get it until we went ahead and approved the consent agenda. We had two people that signed up to speak to one item on the consent agenda, which was item number 8. And I would it says that if we have two directors that so desire, individuals may discuss a separate matter. Could I have two directors that would so move that we could speak on item 8? Since I went ahead and did that, I approved it before I saw their names signed up. We have two people signed up to speak.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah. Can I have a motion?
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. So we'll go backwards a little bit to the consent agenda on item number 8. Would you read that item, please?
Well, we actually haven't approved the consent agenda yet.
You just want to move it down to new
Approved the
business?
agenda for the evening, so
for
that'll
the
be an
agenda.
item of new business.
Business on number.
What is, Mayor, what is your pleasure on that? Would you like that to be the first item of new business prior to the public hearing?
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah. Okay, we'll just move it down. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
So do we need to vote?
No, it only if
Oh,
two
okay.
members of the board
That's
wish
good.
to move it to
Okay.
new business.
Okay. And we did approve the consent agenda, right?
Not yet.
Not
Not yet.
You've got-
Okay, where
you
am
got
I
it.
tonight?
We're on
Recognition of guests.
number 6.
Okay. Which we have announcements for upcoming events by the Board of Directors. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to invite you to attend a community meeting on Thursday, August 1st at 4:30 p.m. at the Forest Lakes Clubhouse. I will be hosting this community meeting, and Hot Springs Fire Chief Ed Davis will be the speaker and have some updated information for us. So I hope to see you on Thursday, August 1st at 4:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements about upcoming events? Okay. Now we will consider the consent agenda. The next items of business is consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly, Aye. Davidson,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
It's adopted. Okay. And the next, under new business, we have moved down, and I'll make it number
It's to be number 8,
8
Mayor.
still. Okay. And would you please read that by title?
Certainly. Resolution R13-148, a resolution confirming the appointment of Kathy Muse to the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. That concludes the reading. If you now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt and a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. And who would speak to that? You?
I think Lance actually put the barf together.
You take.
Yeah,
Explain
absolutely.
that one.
This item comes to you as a recommendation from the Housing Authority. This is in reference to, I believe, Commissioner Dennis Bosch. He resigned his position with the commission, so the subsequent appointment of Ms. Muse will fulfill Mr. Bosch's unfulfilled term, and this comes to the board from the Housing Authority, so they would hope that you would ratify the appointment.
Okay. Thank you.
Part of the information you found in your packet is State Law, Arkansas Code Annotated, Section 14-169-208, which sets out the procedures by which those commission positions are filled. The board's duty at this point is to confirm or not confirm the nomination.
Okay. And that information was in our packets for us to read. Okay. I have 2 people signed up. Mr. Driggers.
Yes, thank you, Bob Driggers, number 3 Stonegate. There's a couple of things that I probably should say to preface my comments. I don't know the person mentioned here. I don't think I've ever met the person who you proposed to put in this position. But I will speak to the process, and the process is not apparently as you think it is. I attended the Housing Authority meeting on the 17th, which was apparently the rescheduled regular meeting. There was no such appointment made at that meeting. I stayed until after the executive session. I have a copy of the schedule, which I understand was on again and off again, and maybe you folks didn't get all the correct information, but there is no official board action making any appointment to fill this position. So this has not been done properly. The Housing Authority is very lax in their notices. I've seen no official notice anywhere, and I did check with the newspaper, who thought there'd been no meetings for the last couple of months. But the bottom line is there have been meetings. This item has not been discussed. The board hasn't ratified it, and the board apparently is not asking you to confirm this person. I recommend that you advertise this position because they have like 45 days. But you need someone that's a business person, because most of the board members there, and as I understand it, the one that's being proposed, even though not ratified or recommended by their board, they're all government, or they get their checks from the government. Let's get someone independent on that housing board, someone that's a business person. So I've got real problems with the way some of the things are going on at the Housing Authority, but this is indicative of that. This is not an appropriate appointment. You need to look into this before you ratify an action that was never taken.
Mr. Driggers, you indicated you attended a meeting on June the 17th?
Correct.
The minutes that we were supplied are minutes from a meeting of June the 24th.
June 24th, I
Yes,
have
sir.
those.
Yes, sir.
And these also make no reference whatsoever of any appointment of any person.
Well, I mean, it's in the minutes. I will agree with you that there was an executive session at which we don't know what took place. They came out and said that it was unanimous during the executive session, but then did not take a subsequent vote. I would agree with you that that is a technical violation of the Freedom of Information Act and the Open Meetings Act, and I would not have advised them to conduct that meeting in such a manner. But that doesn't invalidate their recommendation to the board and the board's consideration of the confirmation.
I would just say I'd recommend you confirm with those board members before you take an action ratifying an action that hasn't taken place.
Well, we were supplied the minutes from the 24th, not the 17th.
I have that.
Yes, sir.
Nowhere on this is that listed. Special meeting, Board of Commissioners, Monday, June 24th, 4 p.m.
You're looking at the agenda. It's not on the agenda. It was contained within the minutes.
Okay, so they took a vote in executive session but didn't report it after.
It wasn't on the agenda. The pre-printed agenda of that meeting did not contain what the item would be with regard to the executive session. But there are minutes from the June 24th meeting, which was in the publicly published packet that the board got and the public received. I'm surprised you don't have a copy of that, in which they discuss an executive session that went into session, came back into public session, and announced a unanimous vote for this individual to be nominated.
Okay.
There was not a subsequent vote in the open meeting, and I do find that to be a technical violation of the Freedom of Information Act. I will not condone that, but it does not invalidate their recommendation to this board.
I think I understand what you're saying, and it is unfortunate that it's next to impossible to get that type of information from that board. And they're certainly not noticing their meetings.
Well, I advise this board. Thank
Okay.
you.
Director Garcia, did you have a question?
Well, I had the question that the city attorney had answered when in our packet we had copies of the minutes, and there was that discrepancy, and I had that inquiry, and he had advised that it didn't invalidate this. But I also talked to some board members that confirmed it was voted in their executive session. But they did not. They left out a step after they reconvened.
They did.
Okay. And then Mr. Bosch.
As Mayor Carney's indicated, my name is Dennis Bosch, and I am the board member in question. And I think it's important that the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority have someone who is technically competent in accounting, and it's my belief that there's no one on that board who has any expertise which approaches mine, which, as Karen knows, I'm a retired CPA. And I resigned for reasons that need to be made public, and I think this is as good a forum as any. I resigned from that board in protest to Mr. Carney, who is the chairman of that board, refusing to investigate 2 valid complaints about misconduct on the part of the executive director. He refused to even hear of it, and he personally attacked me in that meeting. I was very dumbfounded, very hurt, because he was a friend, or at least I thought he was. And I have subsequently got additional commentary to support misconduct on the cake and that basis. I really think you ought to find someone from another source who is more technically knowledgeable to look at the financial situation of the Housing Authority, because they haven't produced income statements to my satisfaction for some time, for in fact the entire time that Ms. Bear has been there. So I really object to this appointment on the grounds that you don't have an adequate distribution of technical knowledge on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, is there any discussion with the board? Any questions?
I don't think our role is to appoint or approve or ratify or not ratify the recommendation. It's not to make a judgment of what takes place internally at the Housing Authority Commission.
Okay. Any other comments?
I agree.
Okay.
Call for the question.
No, you don't have to. I'm going to go over it. Okay. Hearing no more discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
Okay. Now, the next item of business is a public hearing to consider the vacating of a portion of undeveloped street known as Alabaster Lane. And we will go into a public hearing, and we have, do you want to address that?
Yes, Mayor. If you'll just call the public hearing to order. Is there anyone here to speak on this matter?
I'm here,
Yes.
J.E. Sanders, attorney representing the petitioning parties.
Okay,
Thank you.
Would
Come
you
forward.
come forward to the, and then state your name again so it'll be on the record on the mic.
Yes, ma'am. J.E. Sanders. I'm an attorney. I'm representing the petitioning parties, the estate of Laura Smith, and joined by her husband, John Wayne Smith. The petition which we have filed, and I believe that you have a copy of the plat, indicates that my clients own on both sides of a portion of Alabaster Street, which is an unopened lane or street, which, based on my record of investigation, has never been opened at any time. And my clients are asking, pursuant to Arkansas law, to be able to close that and go through the petitioning process with this body, which stands in official capacity to make that finding as well as to issue the ordinance thereafter. As you can see from the plat, we are, as I said, owners of both sides of the part that we're petitioning to close. The part that we have not asked to close is and if you look at that map, the reference is north, which you have in front of you. The top of the map will be the north. So as we go in a westerly direction, as we approach Shady Grove Road, you will find that at that junction of Shady Grove and Alabaster Lane, which doesn't even have a sign on it or anything else, as it was never accepted by the city. That portion is actually owned on one side by Johnny Breckling and his wife, and on the other side by my clients. Mr. Breckling has signed a waiver of objection to us closing the portion that we own on both sides, but asks that the portion that he is contiguous to, which is west of the portion we have, that not be closed, and we're honoring that request and not attempting to do that. So the only portion we're dealing with is property which we actually own on both sides, and as contiguous owners of that portion that we're seeking to close on both sides, we're supposedly in a position to have almost a prima facie case for that to take place, unless there's an objection or some reason for health and safety reasons that it should not be. So that's the petition in a nutshell. I don't want to dwell on it, given the agenda that you have, but I certainly would be in a position to answer any questions were they to be asked regarding this matter.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. I thought that in the board packet there was approval of owners of land contiguous to the proposed street closing, Johnny and Faye Breckling, and you're saying that they asked it not to be closed?
The portion that Mr. Breckling, my client, Mr. Breckling, approved our closing of our portion, provided that we not attempt to close a portion that he was contiguous to.
Okay, I beg your pardon. I missed this last sentence here. I see it now. Thank you, Jay.
Jay, this is the public hearing portion, which would not be typically when we would ask questions, but it's the next item on the agenda, and I think you're the only one that's going to be here. So in the interest of time, you have no problem with the city maintaining any easements necessary for utilities, stormwater, and the like along this former right-of-way?
No, we don't. I would ask, however, that the city take note that my client is in a position to expedite improvements after he gets control of the property that he has, so that if the city were to make its efforts, that it would certainly take cognizance of the fact that he's making major capital improvements to roadways and entries.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Questions? You want to wait? Okay. All right. That would be the end of the hearing, and
okay.
We'll go into the approval of it in just a moment. The next item of business is consider ordinance number 01341. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01341, an ordinance vacating a portion of an undeveloped street known as Alabaster Lane located in Country Club Heights subdivision and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion, a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion now?
Just for purposes of the board's information, all of the procedures required under Arkansas Code Annotated 1431 301 have been met, and if the board should so choose, vacation is in order.
Any questions? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay,
Adopted.
it's adopted. Thank you. Okay, the next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01342. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01342, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5536, municipal utility billing procedure, adopting theft of Hot Springs Municipal Services policy and for other purposes. That concludes the reading. If you would now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And discussion. Who has this one? Staff person? Utilities?
I can.
You got
Yeah,
it?
I can start it. This particular ordinance here will deal with the theft of city services, municipal services more appropriately. However, this is pursuant to Arkansas State Code, so this is within 536.104. So what we're doing is codifying that section of Arkansas Code and implementing it within our Hot Springs Code, municipal utility billing procedures. The theft of services portion will it dovetails with the tampering and meter tampering. But what if you tamper with a meter? Essentially, you will be stealing city services. So what this does is this does give the city attorney's office the authority to prosecute the theft of services. However, it should be noted that a great deal of our customers are outside of the city limits, so that this will only affect the ones that are within the city limits currently. This particular ordinance will. And I don't know if Brian would like to detail any more about that.
Sure. I know there have been some concerns about, is this some sort of an expansion or new law that the city is implementing? It is not. This is a criminal statute that is already on the books. Theft of services is theft of services. However, it is a misdemeanor at a certain level and a felony at a different level. In order for the city attorney's office to be authorized to prosecute such a claim, it must be by ordinance. And so, in essence, what the city is doing is simply adopting an existing state law as an ordinance that will be intertwined within its policy with regard to municipal utility services. If it's inside the city limits, my office will prosecute these claims. If it's outside of the city limits, we will seek the assistance of the prosecuting attorney's office.
Okay. Do we have any questions? No one signed up for that. The directors, do you have any questions of Mr. Albright? Okay. Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
It's adopted. Thank you. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01343. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01343, an ordinance authorizing amendments to the budget of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas for the year 2013 and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would entertain a motion, a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, and staff person, Ms. Yates?
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier tonight on the consent agenda, you guys approved Resolution 13148, and this was appropriating 2013 revenues from the half-cent sales tax to specific street paving projects. This ordinance is a companion housekeeping ordinance with that. It merely increases your revenue on our budget, increases your expense on our budget by those amounts.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Hearing no discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
Ordinance is adopted. Okay, wow. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're down to the Board of Directors' comments. If you have any comments you would like to make to the... Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank the staff and Christ Engineers for the great report and update on our water supply study. It was a very good work session, and I wanted to thank everybody involved. Thank you.
Yes, it was. Lots of information.
I would
Yes,
just
ma'am.
like to congratulate Ms. Rose Schweikert Cranston and her husband Todd on the outstanding opening of the Superior Bathhouse Brewery and Distillery. They had record crowds on Sunday, and I was there with another group from the Park Avenue Community Association meeting, and we were trying to engage our Christmas party. So we're working on that. But it's lovely what they've done. It's been a long process, and you are taken care of with great attention to detail, and the food is incredible. I have not tried the gelato, but I can testament to the food. It was very good. And congratulations. We hope it goes really well. And I understand that there is photographic evidence of a prior crosswalk right in that area from decades ago. I'll get a copy.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Everybody all right?
Yes.
Elaine, you don't need to say anything.
I would just like to commend the Langston Reunion Committee and all the attendees. It was a great reunion. Elaine was at everything that went on, didn't miss a beat. And everything was beautiful.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We're glad you're here. Okay, that concludes the business section of tonight's meeting. And immediately following adjournment, we don't have anyone signed up, so we'll just adjourn.
Thank
Do
you,
I have a
ma'am.
motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, for all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.